Hey guys, it's me again. Today this video is going to be about Devil's Third. Now, as you may remember, I did a kind of a response to the criticism the game had been getting, and I didn't pick this game up at launch because I couldn't afford it at launch at the time. I was getting paid a few days after, so I picked it up when I could get paid. So I picked it up about 4 days ago now. And you know what? I think it's more than appropriate that I do my review of it. I apologize for the really mediocre video quality. I don't have a capture card, and I wanted to do a review on this game, so the camera was my only option. The camera was my only savior and my only possibility to do any form of video reviews. So here it is. Now, let's get started with the multiplayer. Now, of course, people hate this game. A lot of people don't like this game. Let's get started with the fact that if you want to get people interested in this game, the best way to get into it is just to tell them about the multiplayer. The multiplayer is interestingly addictive. I don't quite know. It's free. It's got a free-to-play setup, but it doesn't shove it down your face. It doesn't force you to pay for anything like that, and it doesn't obligate you to pay for anything. You can play the game pretty damn well without anything of the sort, and that's good because the multiplayer is surprisingly well done. It is really good considering the game's development history. It's fun. The weapons and the gunplay is okay. I mean, it's definitely serviceable, but it isn't like, I don't know, Call of Duty grade, I guess, where the guns just feel worthwhile and all that, and then just aiming feels right and all that. Aiming here feels a little bit clunky, but I don't know. People say it feels horrible, but I reckon it feels really good. I don't get what the major problem with the aiming is, to be honest. But hey, each to their own. People have different opinions, and I respect those different opinions. Melee is actually very good fun, although a bit hollow. Has two-button combat, so there's no room for a major amount of combos, just different ways to press Y and X on your Wii U, Pro Controller, or gamepad. So, which it does support the gamepad, but not in a way that many games do, unfortunately. And the maps are well designed considering the style of gameplay that this game approaches, because this game has a pretty unique approach to its gameplay. It, again, for those unaware, Devil's Third mixes third-person hack and slash with first-person shooting and occasional third-person shooting, depending on what gun you use and stuff like that. Like sometimes shotguns can be fired from third person and all that with no problem. But yeah, through that the game sounds like it's got an interesting concept on paper, and it somewhat, not largely, but it somewhat succeeds on its promise. Multiplayer holds up quite nicely. It's fun to play. I'm playing Carnival mode right here. I forgot what map this was. I believe this is a Northern California map, but anyway. Or the Rocklands or something? I can't remember. Anyway. But the game's good fun. Unfortunately, though, the servers, I think, are locked to certain regions. And as a result, I literally have not been able to access a full lobby this entire time I've been playing online. Here is a much better example though. I had like 5 players on each side. It can support up to 16 players, so 8 versus 8. But I had 5v5 anyway, and it was still pretty hectic enough. So if you're playing this and you have a full server, you're going to have fun. You're going to have quite a bit of fun depending on if you like these type of games or not. However, there are overpowered weapons and all that, and a few weapons need balancing and all that, but it largely all works together quite nicely. And that's primarily all I've got to say about the basic multiplayer modes. Of course, there is a leveling system, and once you level up and all that, you unlock, sometimes depending on what milestones you hit, like I believe you hit level 5 or level 10, you get extra money, you get personal dollar and golden eggs, which is that free-to-play currency that everybody's been saying, oh, this game's a shitty free-to-play game, when it's got some substance. But once you hit level 10, you get this. You get a really cool message from the FDRA. You get to create your own clan or go mercenary. I chose to go mercenary, but you get to do all this really cool stuff, and it just multiplayer just opens up really nicely here, as you're about to see in about 10-20 seconds. The next game mode they unlock once you hit level 10 is so good. I don't know, something about it is just, I played it and it was just like, wow, this is really good. I didn't expect it to be good, but it was just like, wow, holy shit. I mean, sure, it's got a free-to-play multiplayer aspect, but from what you can play without paying a single fucking cent, it's just so good. Now, again, I apologize for poor video quality here. This is the best I could get considering the circumstances. Ironically enough, in Siege mode, there's a little bit of a motion blur that you get in the game when you're sprinting and moving around the camera, which is something you don't get on any other game modes, not even single player. So I'm kind of confused as to why this exists. But this is heavily reminiscent of Battlefield's Rush mode, except done with a third-person kind of shooter vibe. And it's done really well though. I love it. It's teaming up with others to take down a clan's enemy base. It's good fun. It brings, I don't know, it's really hard to describe what it brings along, but it's just really good fun to play. It's chaotic despite the low amount of players. There's always a sense of you got to do something, and a lot of the user created levels are very good and have an atmospheric feeling of you're in a war. It's all for all, one for one, and all for all. It's got that feel to it, and again, credits to Itagaki and his team at Valhalla Game Studios for being able to do that. Considering this game's checkered game history, they've been able to keep their consistency and their promises on one thing for the most part, in my opinion at least, because I discovered this game at E3 2014, and I actually was pretty excited for this game, and upon seeing the gameplay trial videos and impressions, initially I kind of lost that hype, but then I kind of slowly gained it back with realizing that I actually found the game to be kind of fun, as you could see in my impressions video. But as you can see here, I don't quite, this map again, so custom maps, it's hard to, I can't really give out scores. Why? Because, again, with all the positives, my positives, what I say that's positive about the video, many people would think of differently. So, for example, if I give the game a 7 out of 10 and list a specific set of reasons, like in Devil's Third's case, the positive for the online is that it's interestingly addictive. It has a charm for certain people. Like, certain people will really kind of find this to be their niche. If anything, the way it kind of runs, it reminds me a little bit. Now, a little bit. I'm not saying a lot, but a little bit of Splatoon. It's like a more mature Splatoon almost. I don't know. The reason why I say that is because it's a third-person shooter with hack-and-slash elements. I mean, Splatoon does not have melee weapons, but it has close-quarters weapons. I don't know why I even brought up that comparison, but, I mean, people would say the positives I give this game would be worth a 5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 or even a 10 out of 10 depending on what your preference is towards these kind of games. But I would, if I had to give it a score, if I had to give the multiplayer component of this game a score, I would give it a 7 out of 10. The only cons I can think of are, again, the free-to-play elements, but they're not shoved down your face, so it isn't exactly a major con. Because you can play the game and still get stuff that you want without having to pay real life money and all that. I don't know what the prices are for the golden eggs or the personal dollar, because I didn't even bother checking, because I've got enough as it is. Because you get a generous amount anyway. But that's roughly about it for Siege. That leaves us with one more thing now, doesn't it? The campaign. Yes, the campaign. This is the thing that everybody gave shit. So this is me playing the whole of Mission 1. All of Mission 1 start to finish on score attack mode. Now, the campaign itself has about 9 missions. I'm up to Mission 5, personally. I can't get past Jane Doe, that fucking boss. Okay, let's start with a kind of positive kind of thing here. The bosses are insanely hard. Out of any game I've played, those bosses go down as some of the hardest bosses I have ever fought in a video game. Why do I say this? They use fucking one-hit moves that can kill you instantly. Except for the boss at the end of this level. The boss at the end of this level, Molotov, is a laughable joke. Because he says, oh, you can hide behind, you can't hide from me, but there's like literally a wall that you can hide behind. And you can easily kill him, you can easily just shoot him. And the Molotovs don't even hit you half the time. But the rest of the bosses, like Big Mouse, Grundasala, the big mutant thing, I can't remember what that was called. What was it, Lab Rat or something? I don't know. Anyway, a big-ass mutant thingy. And then Jane Doe. That they're all, especially that Grundasala boss. I spent an hour trying to kill that motherfucker. That was insane. That was insane. So that's a negative. The frame rate is another negative. And the frame rate. Now, sure, come on. There's an optimization issue with it, but it's the most varied frame rate I've ever seen in a video game. I reckon it's one of the worst frame rate inconsistencies I've seen in a fucking video game. It pushes 60 and then it feels like it goes to about 15. Like, wow. But you know what? You're not here to hear about the negatives. A lot of people want to hear the positives about this game because they're curious if they think their money's worthwhile. I picked this up for about $57, by the way, Australian dollars. The positives. With its challenge, it gives you a good demonstration into how the multiplayer would play out technically. I don't know. Really, I can't think of a positive. It is fun, though. The campaign is fun, and it does, ironically enough, have a sense of replayability with its score attack mode, as I'm playing right here. But even then, you can just go through the campaign missions again and just have fun, you know? It's got a really weird replayability to it, because the missions, although they all have impossible bosses towards the end, they just got this sense of replayability, and it's really ironic how its sense of replayability just draws you back to the missions. Like, and the atmospherical environments in some levels, like especially level 5. Level 5 has a really atmospheric Japanese style kind of palace, it's got an imperial palace design, and it's just some parts of it look great, considering the game's gotten shit for its visual representation. But some of the levels are just nice. They're just really cool to look around and go, oh wow, the lighting's really nice, and some of the character models are really nicely done too. Like Ivan, this guy I'm playing as right here. He's got an amazing character model considering the game's detail in other areas. Combat. Now, I mentioned this in multiplayer, but I didn't really go into depth about the gun combat. I went into a little bit of depth about those fucking vampire bats. Who put those in the game? Like, I've died from those things countless times. But anyway, the gun combat, some weapons are actually really good fun to use, and some are kind of a bit meh to use. And ironically enough, for some weapons, the texture detail when you're aiming down in first person takes forever to load. It doesn't load when you aim down. It takes time to load, so like for a few seconds you just got this blank kind of weapon mesh model. It's a really weird issue there, but the gunplay for some weapons is really good, like the Scar H, the pistol I just used then, and some other weapons. It's really good fun, and the RPG is really good fun to use as well, but it doesn't feel great, but it feels serviceable, and more importantly, it's not an inconvenience for the most part. For the most part, it works to some extent. And that's good, because it complements, because the game isn't perfect in its melee combat, nor is it any better. If anything, it's worse in its gun combat. But the two complement each other enough to make the game interesting to play as it is. And it doesn't feel horrible to play. It doesn't feel like amazing like Bayonetta, but it works, you know? It just works. Now, again, graphics. I mentioned this briefly before with the character models. Graphics. Again, it's a hit and miss here. The game has some alright textures. The lighting in particular, though, is a standout, because it actually a lot of lighting is really nice. The character models and the way they just kind of go comically into blood is kind of weird. But some of the weapon details and then the lighting and some character renderings are great, considering it's a Wii U title. But overall, on the surface, it would be hard pressed to see this as a true next gen title or a true Wii U title. Which then again, with the Wii U's like unconfirmed power of being much weaker, not much more powerful than an Xbox 360, you'd think this would be an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 exclusive, released around 2007, 2008, with some of its visual representation, especially with some of its frame rate too. Its frame rate is just Now, the general AI, 14 minutes in and I cough. Wow. Anyway, the AI can be kind of inconsistent. Sometimes they will hit you and they will kill you, and then sometimes you'll run up to them and they'll just look at you for about 2 seconds and then they'll respond to you. They've got a really inconsistent pattern, and again, that's another downside, is the AI can just be very inconsistent. Again, that carries over to the boss fights. The boss fights in some cases are literally about chance. Probably the most fun boss fight I ever went in, though, was the Molotov one, for how stupidly easy it was, and I seriously forgot what that name of that fourth boss was. I can't remember it, and I feel so bad for not being able to remember it. It's a mutant thingy. Anyway, that was good fun. You had to do your timing right. You had to, otherwise you die. You had to you had to hit a certain part of the body in order to not die and all that. It was just fun. It was, I don't know. It just came across as a really good fun boss fight, and that whole level that preceded it too was actually pretty bloody good too. Again, it had a bit of an atmospherical feel to it. I don't know. I don't quite know. But so, if I were to TLDR, as some people say, the pros and cons for this game, the cons are it has a really inconsistent frame rate, spotty at best visuals that look like they're from a late 2000s Xbox 360 PS3 game. The gunplay can be a bit mediocre, or is just upfront inconsistently mediocre. If those two words can be connected together well, or those two words can be connected together, okay, I guess. And the melee combat, although fun, it lacks variety. And the game has insane difficulty spikes. Seriously, as I've said twice already before, those boss fights, except for Molotov, are absolute shit. They're insanely difficult and are rage-inducing. But the positives, it has a really silly B-movie charm to it. The story just has this stupid Sylvester Stallone styled story. It's like a Russian Rambo almost. I don't know. He just kills people just because he can, and he's got to kill all these people and all that. And it's just got this stupid B movie vibe to it. And again, this will have an appeal to some people. I personally quite like this story for its just dumbness. It doesn't force you to be involved with characters. It just tells you to shoot shit and have just people to help you there and all that. I don't know. It's just got this charm to it. I don't quite know what. The gunplay, again, I said it was inconsistent, but with the weapons that are oddly satisfying, it can be really good fun. The gunplay can be just really nice to use. The melee combat is great, although occasionally a bit tedious and boring. And the multiplayer is definitely good. Like, seriously, if I had to recommend one thing that would seriously get people to get this game, it would be the multiplayer, because the multiplayer just, I don't know, something about it. It's just got this addictive kind of charm to it. Although there's not many people playing online, which is really sad. So I'd give this game about a 7 out of 10, and that is pretty much the end of this video, guys. If you've gotten to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Okay, see you later.